his head is where it always is. When he has a bad performance, he comes back and makes up for it with a beautiful performance. So if they think that means that Usyk gonna beat him, they got another thought coming. That don't mean that. He didn't prepare like he was preparing to fight OLEKSANDR USYK. He prepared like he was fighting a guy who has no experience in boxing. That's what he came out and looking for. Now the guy surprised him. Yes. Would I have given the guy the decision? Probably yes, because the guy did more than we expected the guy to do. But that was not the normal Tyson Fury, which hence, young kids, why every time you perform, you should be ready to perform at your best, because you never know what the next person might bring.
Don't want to talk about Tyson's victory. It was a good victory. All I can say is there's enough people talking bullshit, and I'm not going to be one of them. My son is still the champion of the world, and he's the best of you at our country mile. If they don't believe in him, that's up to them. I believe in him, and you watch when he gets Usyk. He'll reign supreme, and he'll stop Usyk.
If you think about it, we're at the start of February. Got all of February, all of March, all of April. If he stays fit, which he will, he'll only need 4 weeks of sparring. 5 weeks tops. So therefore, his sparring doesn't really need to start till the beginning of April or mid-April. You know, you've still got really 8 weeks at least till he needs to spar. That cut will be well healed in 4 or 5 weeks. There's always going to be scar tissue there. I mean, that's the same spot as the Wilding cut. So, you know, maybe he uses a bar this time on his head guard, or I don't know. But I think the timing will be fine.
Does it change your pick at all for the Undisputed fight?
Not really. Not really. I mean, Fury's going to get a whole load of criticism about this. And listen, I'll back him on it. I don't often back him. But to say that he made the cut up, or it's just moronic. So I think he's going to get a huge amount of criticism, and I think it's going to drive him on to beat Usyk. I actually think this will work out well for Tyson Fury, and I think he'll beat OLEKSANDR USYK.
Usyk Fury, just break it down for me.
Well, Fury, I mean, first of all, I've been impressed with him when I first saw him. A guy so big, can move so well. You know what I mean? I mean, he can box. I mean, that's a key factor.
I do respect it, but I don't. You know, he's probably basing that off of the last fight he had against McGuigan, and I don't use that as a gauge. One thing's for sure, we're going to find out on the 18th. I think Tyson's going to go out and make a statement in the fight.
What have you been hearing from Tyson, the people around him in camp, and has it been encouraging?
I spoke with Tyson, and I've seen the footage, and when I went up to Morecambe to see him, he's jumping out of his skin. He looks so well, it's untrue. And out of bad comes good, and I think the fact that he got that cut at the end of, more or less at the end of it, you know, the sparring preparation for that fight was at the end of his training. He was really fit and well. So he took a few weeks off, and he's back in it. But he hasn't had to go into camp where he's had to, you know, lose a lot of weight or not be sort of match fit. The worry was that he would peak too soon, and he's maintained great fitness levels, and when you talk to Tyson, you know where you are when you're talking about a fight. But more importantly, when you see him and you're looking at the glow on him, this is going to be vintage Tyson Fury, and I think he'll prove Colin more than wrong.
You're never going to get a knockout against Usyk. Like, if you're planning for just like landing one shot against Usyk, you're silly. He's a bag of tricks. Like, the way to get him is consistency throughout the rounds and throwing lots of shots, and putting Usyk in the firing line for big shots, and being brave enough to press it and not sit back looking for one. So and a lot of the time, look. Look at like Daniel. Daniel's a great puncher. He puts his shots together really well. Usyk took it all away. AJ's a great puncher. He'd do the same thing to AJ now. You can't just look for the one shot against him. You've got to put your hands together. And Fury's done it a couple of times. He did it. I know Steve Cunningham's not nowhere near what Usyk is, but he still did it. He flipped the script. He put his hands together and let shots in combinations go with a smaller man. That's the way you're going to have to fight him.
I think Usyk beats Fury. He's a better boxer. He's always performed, always showed up, never been found wanting, never found short. Obviously, everyone's going to say, well, the same can be said for Tyson Fury. But I just think, looking at like the current form, lots of Brits over here were a little bit outraged with the sort of the low blow incident with Daniel Dubois, but you know, it was a pretty one-sided fight, you know, and I think Usyk showed his class. And Tyson Fury hasn't boxed that much lately, you know, flirted with retirement, and now he's fighting a UFC fighter. So don't know what his mindset will be for that, but he likes being the man. And if he does think he can beat Usyk, then the fight happens. But if he doesn't think he can beat Usyk, then that fight's going to somehow fall through. Let's see.
Definitely not. Alexander Usyk has fought I don't know how many times, and what he's been what people have saw, he's been hurt to the body twice, and then you want to make that like his number one weakness. Like if you just touch him to the body, he's gone and he's done. Nah, I mean, if you base your whole game plan on going to his body, then you lose. So yeah, the game plan is just to box. Do what you normally do. If the body's open, you go for it. If the head's open, you go for it. If the left side's open, you go for it. If the right side's open, you go for it. It's always changes in boxing. And to just say, oh, everybody's just saying go to the body. But, I mean, if that's what they believe, then that's fine as well, too. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And like I say, it keeps things interesting where everybody's saying go to the body, go to the body. Throughout a fight, you go to the head. You go to whatever is working at that particular time.
At the box, Usyk, you can't sleep on the guy. He fast as hell. He gonna come inside, outside. He gonna be jabbing you, throwing straights, coming, pivoting around the side of your body. So if you're not able to box and move around and turn, you're gonna have a long night. We seen how he did AJ. AJ was catching him sometimes, but just them small turn pivots. AJ can't turn like that. So every time he turn, AJ trying to turn to him. And now he can punch. He got, so that's a lot. And then you a bigger guy, and it's a small guy. So his movement's gonna be might be a tad bit or might be a lot faster than yours. So yeah, he gonna have to be in shape. He gonna have to be ready to box and be ready to come off them back legs and use that jab. Because Usyk is not gonna sit still. That's not a guy that's gonna sit in front of you and just let you punch. Yeah, that's not by a long shot.
Well, I think, on paper, logically, Usyk should have no chance of beating a man 6 inches taller and probably 5 stone heavier than him. It's the old cliche, good big uns beat good little uns. But what I've seen of Tyson, certainly against Ngannou, I think he's in decline. I think maybe those 3 fights with Wilder, and that is now catching up with him. People forget that Tyson has been at it for 15 years. He's 35 now, and he's had a lot of hard fights, those Wilder fights. Recently, all right, Chisora, and we discount those. Usyk is a very, very clever item, and I have a leaning towards him. If he can get the decision on points in Saudi, but I think he could do it.
But the Tyson Fury that we saw in the Ngannou fight will be a far cry from the one that we'll see in the OLEKSANDR USYK fight. Because Tyson Fury will be totally prepared to be a big guy at 6'9" and 280, 290, whatever he's going to come in at. He's a good boxer. He's agile. He's slick. He's comfortable. And he knows what he's doing out there, I think that this is going to be a tough fight for both guys. But I think that OLEKSANDR USYK has a good chance to edge Tyson Fury in this fight. I think that Tyson Fury would do what he does. He'll put pressure on him. He'll lay on him. He'll maul him. He'll brawl him. And he has a good jab to be a good guy. To be a big guy, he has a really good jab. He knows how to work his weight. And he's agile. So it's a tough fight, but I can see OLEKSANDR USYK winning a split decision, and I can see Tyson Fury winning a unanimous decision. It's a tough fight for both guys, but OLEKSANDR USYK is not your run-of-the-mill fighter. No, he's a focused guy. He's a tough guy. He takes a good punch. He gives a good punch, and he knows what it is to be in a tough fight. He's going to be out there to win that fight because he knows what undisputed means. He knows what that means.
And so does Tyson Fury. That's why I say this is a tough fight. This is more of a mental fight than it is a physical fight.
Look at him, and Dillian White, look at him, Deontay Wilder, do you know what I mean? He's been fighting people that are going to stand there in front of him where, no, this is the first time in a long time where he's got a little whippersnapper in front of him that's going to go bing, 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 bing. So Tyson knows he's got to get a little bit lighter. I think the best thing for Tyson is, and I say this with love because you all love Tyson, is the best thing that could have happened to him before this fight was him to have a stinker against Ngannou. Because he's obviously gone back and gone, listen, I took my eye off the ball a little bit. Maybe I didn't, prepare like I probably could have done. Didn't come in at the weight, and maybe I should have done. And look, it nearly went bangers there for me. So, it's the best thing. We're not letting that happen this time. So it's probably the best thing that probably could have happened to him. He thinks that's what happens when you take your eye off the ball, innit? This time, I'm not doing that this time. If he'd have bonged Ngannou out, he might have caught a few corners. Do you know what I mean? But because he knows, I got away with that. Just because I didn't prepare proper. Trust me, that's not happening this time. So I think the Ngannou was a plus, the performance, if you like. But it's going to be a tough one for him. I think Usyk has got such a clever boxing brain to be the Olympic gold medal, undisputed cruiserweight champion, undisputed heavyweight champion. He's such a thinker's fighter, isn't he? But he's going to need every bit of it against Tyson. He's got the size, he's got the height, he's got the reach. He can do southpaw, he can do orthodox, he can fight up close and bully you. He can bite at the distance. He's got unbelievable defense. I think, and the fact that he's smaller, he'll bring a speed factor to it. That'll, we're all going about, Usyk's speed. Tyson's like lightning, for the big guy, and the fact that he's slimmed down a little bit, I think he'll be even more faster and even more explosive. Obviously with what happened in the Ngannou fight, I hope he's still got a bit left in the tank. You know what I mean? You look what them 3 fights with Wilder. Look what it took out of Wilder. Do you know what I mean? His last fight, he didn't look half the fighter. And when you look at Tyson's fight again and Ngannou, you think to yourself, have them 3 fights took it out of him? I don't. I just think Tyson took it a little bit lighter. I like the way his interviews are. He's not doing as much rubbishing or bad diet. He's still saying the odd little things, and Tyson wouldn't be anything. But that's why we love him. But I think he's speaking a lot of sense, where in the past, he won't mind me for admitting, he's spoke a lot of past, but sometimes he's come out with stuff that even me as his mate think, oh, Tyson, please stop it. But he's talking a lot of sense in what he's doing. He looks mentally right. He looks physically right. I think Usyk has got a lot on his hands. Fight night, yeah.
With the leanness, though, I know that Sugar Hill and his game plan is clear that he goes for the knockouts, but I wonder if maybe it's a nod to possibly having to box a little bit more in this fight. And do you think that's still in him to box? Because we haven't seen that in a while.
That's right, because he's not had to, because he's been fighting the bigger guys. But I think he do, and it's like anything, there's one thing, Campbell was sent out to bully his opponent, but the bullying's got to be quality bullying. It's got to be educated. You know what I mean? You can't just go out there. If Tyson just says, "I'm just going to bully him," Tyson will go out there and bully him, but he can still use his boxing ability and all the stuff he's got in his armory. He can still bully someone. But and I say this to my fighters in the gym all the time. I train a girl called Chloe Watson. I said, last time, you won the European title, but you just bullied it out of her. And when I say bully someone, I still don't mean you forget the niceties and the subtleties and the jab and the movement as you go in. Sometimes people say bully him, they just think and it's not like that. And I think Tyson, if he bullies him and uses all the ability that he's got in his armory as he's bullying him, I think Alexander's got a tough night on his hands. I really do.